Good evening, everybody. We're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome to the City of Benton City regularly scheduled council meeting. Today is June 6th, 2023. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Sandretto, can you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Carla, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Wadsworth.
Here.
Councilman Sandretto.
Here.
Councilman Reed.
Here.
Councilwoman Funk. Councilwoman Alcazar.
Here.
A motion to approve the excused absence of Councilwoman Funk due to a family emergency.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sandra, aye.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda is our consent agenda.
Anybody? Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Sandra, aye.
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the agenda. I would like to make two changes. I would like to add two very short 5-minute each executive sessions. Subsection G, personnel issues.
Motion to approve is amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Sandra, aye.
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Motion carries. At this time, we're going to have visitor comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any visitor comments in the room
For non-agenda.
for non-agenda items?
Yes,
We'll get right to you, whoever is on
Dan.
Zoom. Dan, just 1 second. We have one in the room.
okay.
Can you please come up to the microphone, state your name and address?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Saltz, and my address is 39304 North Olson Road, PR Northwest, Benton City. I am seeking some transparency and accountability and understanding of the Chamber of Commerce in Benton City. I want to understand its relationship with the city government, its funding, and what sort of professional rules or guidelines they abide by, how the members are selected. And I'm not expecting anybody to answer any questions, but that's what I am after. And maybe if at some point somebody could point me in the right direction to get the answers that I'm seeking, I would appreciate it.
Okay. During regular business hours, if you contact the front office and you can request a copy of the contract. It's also online. The city does fund the chamber through contract for services of special events. So Benton City Days, it also handles
Movie in the
Business
park.
And some various other things related to those items. As well as the tourism and kiosk board down there at the chamber. Other than that, the chamber is its own entity,
Is what?
its own entity. So we have no governance over how they act or what they do.
Mhm. But you can change your amount of funding.
Yes, we could
Okay.
at contract time.
Okay. Yeah, I have concerns about the professionalism within the chamber and their transparency and accountability. And so that's something that I'm seeking changed behavior.
Okay.
within that organization. So-
If you would like to write something up and submit it to the council, we'll take it under consideration.
I will do that. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other attending visitor comments?
Yes, Bill.
Sorry, in the room. I saw two hands go up earlier. Now I don't see a second. Okay, Dan, floor is yours. You have 3 minutes, please.
Yeah, I stopped in at City Hall and I asked about people that have multiple accounts with the city and we get separate bills for every account. I'm just one of two people, or one of a few people that has two separate accounts in Benton City, but I get two envelopes and two bills. Benton REA, I have 4 accounts with them. I get one letter, one envelope. I don't see why the city can't make some kind of changes instead of sending out a bill for every account. I mean, look, Lord knows how many Kent Parker has or Tim Small has. Every one of those accounts spends money for the city. Why can't the city get their act together and just put something in so all the bills come in one envelope for everything? That makes it would save the city money, and it makes no sense to me. The other thing is, when is the city going to dump the building on Main Street and get out from underneath that horse? This has been going on for years and years and years. I've asked about it. Nobody with the city will get off their rear end to do a darn thing about this, Bill. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid to be holding on to that dead horse. And I pray to God that the city council will do something and get rid of that thing. And the other thing is, get out of, I know you guys love where you're at with, but Kent Parker's getting a lot of money for your rent. Sell that building, go down to the park, remodel that building down there, move down there, quit being in competition with the other two businesses in town that rent facilities. Move City Hall down there and make it usable. All I can see is the city just puking money out the door on this stuff. So I'm not happy with it. That's all I got.
Yeah, we appreciate your input, Dan. As far as it goes with the multiple accounts, multiple bills getting sent out, we'll check with our billing contractor and see if we can rectify that problem. On the other side of things, that's obviously capital purchases and capital sales and stuff like that are things that take time and planning. And that's something that now that we have a new planner, we can look forward to the future of Benton City. And yeah, we'll hopefully move that project up on the list to a sooner date and maybe get a better 3 to 5 year plan of what's going on with all this here soon.
Well, Bill, this has been going on for over 10 years. So
Yeah,
all of you, everybody there knows it. The entire city knows it. And it's got to the point of being stupid, is all I'm saying.
we'll work on it.
Thanks, Bill.
And I will call you first when we have an answer.
All right. Thanks, bud. Bye.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room?
Yep.
And now we're to Mr. Troy Phillips.
Good evening, Honorable City Council. My name is Troy Phillips, again, representing Olson Brothers Ranches Incorporated. We paid a visit to council about 3-4 weeks ago with regard to the development moratorium. We've been on hold for a little over a year now. We spoke with the city's council, legal counsel on the matter in front of council at that time. We were told that, about a week would be the earliest that the city could get moving on lifting that moratorium for the areas outside the South Sub Area Plan. Seeing as how all of the criteria for lifting that moratorium had been satisfied. And so we're coming up on the 4th week now since that time, and still have heard no action or comment and gotten no response from city staff as to what the next steps are for lifting that moratorium and allowing development that's been on hold for the city or with the city, over a year now. And was just kind of asking city council to provide comment on what the plan is here and what the action plan is moving forward. And again, just another reminder that the revised code of Washington requires that there be a work plan in place for the residents and the stakeholders of the municipality to be able to follow along and hold the city accountable to these actions. And that has not been put in place. And so don't want to get this, don't want this thing to get ugly, and think it could be a really easy solution. Just want to know that the city is working in good faith to do their duty and get this thing lifted so we can all move on. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And I did see another hand raised. Is there any further comment from anybody on Zoom? Any further comment from in the room? Thank you very much. We are going to move on to our regular reports. Staff reports, starting with the treasurer's report.
We do not have a treasurer's report this week.
No treasurer's report, planning report.
Good evening. Mayor Pro Tem William Reed and fellow council. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. My name is George Kress, the new city planner. I've been here just short of 3 weeks. So I'm getting my feet wet and working with staff, and it's been a real pleasure to work with each member here. And they've been very helpful. I have just a short nickel summary of some of the activities that I've been working on, and we'll just pass that around. So during this time, I'm trying to equate myself with the folks here, what's happening in town. First of all is the update on the moratorium with Dan and Mike Manning from CJ Alliance. Been very helpful in updating me on the current status. Been meeting with Mike Manning, who is again with CJ Alliance, and he's been very helpful on working with each application that's been pending here with the city. We've been going through all the files as well as Jenny. And so it's been very helpful. I've got a pretty good idea of each one of those applications and what the status is. Mike has been very helpful going through the SEPA requirements. I am familiar with SEPA. It's been a while since my port days where I used to work with SEPA quite every day. And it has been changed a little bit, so it's been very helpful. Jennifer has updated me on some code enforcement, land use violations, and that's been very helpful. Alan Rainey has been very, very helpful, and it's been a real pleasure meeting him and working with him, and he's updated me on the various projects pending here with the city. And it's got a very full workload coming up this summer, so it's going to be really exciting here to see all the projects working. Well, I was here last week too. We had a gentleman come in who is a property owner in the Benton City Industrial site along Dale Avenue. And he came in with a request to vacate a street, which is a right-of-way. Actually, it's not an existing street there. And so I had a tour of the industrial site with him and talked about what his plans were with that site, and took a look at the actual site itself and the issues with that. It's quite a steep road there, or not a road, but a site for a potential city street, and discussed the proposal with Alan. And we went over the issues with water, sewer, and utilities, and what is intended for the use of any potential roads down there. So that was very helpful. So I'll be discussing this application, pending application with the property owner down there and moving forward. Brandon, with CJ Alliance and Mike, we've discussed the updating the comprehensive plan and municipal code pertaining to land use issues and shoreline management. Development, which involves development standards and processing new applications once the moratorium is lifted. So they have been very, very helpful in getting me up to date. So I really appreciate their assistance. So that's all I had for this brief summary here. I will have probably a lot more detailed information for your information and moving along when the applications start coming in here, when the moratorium's lifted. So if you have suggestions or whatever you want me to include in these reports, it'd be very helpful.
The only thing I can think of in the reports that I really am interested in is what projects are happening, what your stage of process is on each one.
Will do.
Any other
I have
questions?
nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. And code enforcement report.
Don't have one tonight, I am sorry.
No problem. No code enforcement report this evening. Summer program, Ms. Elson?
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. My name is Jennifer Elson, and I am very happy to continue running our summer program. Last couple of years, I've learned a lot in it with what our city wants versus what they actually will show up for. And this summer, we're trying something completely different where we're going to run it as a day camp, where 3 days out of the week, parents can either come and volunteer with their kids and spend that time bonding and building as a community, drop their kids off with us. We'll have them for 4 or 5 hours. Lunch is provided. They have all those different activities they can do. I don't know if you guys remember elementary school, those field days on the last day of school, where they had like tug of war and beanbag toss and all that sort of stuff. We went around and took all of those and combined them into a day camp for our kids. And we learned that if we didn't charge anything, because COVID kind of hit us hard last year and the year prior, right? We learned that if we didn't charge anything, people would say, we're interested, and not show up. So we'd prepare for 100 people, 150 people, and no one would be there. So this year we're charging a $10 fee per kid per day. If that fee is something that those parents can't afford, because if they're like me and they have 5 kids, that gets pretty pricey really fast. Volunteer your time. Come spend a day with us, helping out the kids, helping out the program. Your kids get in for the day free. We also have yoga coming. The start date has been moved tentatively because our instructor has to have surgery on her knee. So hopefully it will not delay us more than a week, if at all. We also, if we have enough interest, we'll be adding a self-defense class as taught by our local dojo sensei, Preston DeLong. We had interest in it last year, but because of the heat, nobody wanted to show up. So we've made adjustments to accommodate for those that would like to take the self-defense class and be able to protect themselves no matter where they go. We also have spoken with having bingo nights brought back. We do have to talk with the gambling board. The term I'm not quite remembering what they are called, but we have rules that we have to follow. And how much can we charge? Can we charge? Can we give them a prize that is monetary? Or is it like we can give them a soda can, popcorn, and candy, and that's their big prize for winning bingo? Depending on what the prize is, depends on if we have to have a license to run it or not. We've also had suggestions of people asking, can we do an adult book club? And we're trying to find if we have enough people and members that we can do a rotating hosting. So it's not just on one person to have it at their house all the time. We also learned that paddleboarding will probably not return to Benton City for at least 2 or 3 years. The instructor that we had used prior has moved to the mountains. And as many as instructors there are in the Tri-Cities, finding one that is certified, that we trust with our kids on the water, that is familiar with the Yakima, it's proving to be a little bit harder because most of them paddleboard over on the Columbia. I am trying to get an interest and feel of CPR and first aid classes as well, because there has been a request for those the last few years. Due to restrictions, in-house training was only allowed the last 2 years, and recertified were happening in-house for the fire department last year. So hopefully with that restriction being lifted, we can add that to the agenda of things for our community to do. Let's see. We are having a all-out tie-dye capture the flag war for our camp, our day camp, where the kids will get to spray the heck out of each other. And we will be using my cricket as well as a few of my friends to make them custom decaled shirts that say Benton City's summer day camp and our year. So that way they each have a unique shirt that they had a hand in making, something to help them remember the summer by. So hopefully this summer we show a lot more involvement than we've had the last couple of years, because that was very disappointing to have big plans and lots of I'll be there's and no one showing up. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, I'll answer them to the best of my ability.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Benton City business license,
Do not believe we have one.
no report. Washington State Liquor and Cannabis reports,
Do not have one.
committee meeting reports.
The only thing I have is I did the executive board meeting for Ben Franklin Transit. It was fairly short, only one item we really had to discuss. That's it.
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Nothing.
Mr. Rainey, engineers report.
Well, good evening, everyone. Tonight, I would like to introduce our newest member of Spink Engineering. That's Nathan Raddick. And I think I sent out an email to everybody with his years of experience. So we're looking forward to having him help keep everything on track as we go through all these projects. So. Looking forward to working with all of you.
Welcome.
And on the engineer's report, I'm just going to kind of hit a couple highlights. The Dale Avenue, that's job number 19101. We're getting ready to, I believe we may have to go out with SEPA on that. So we'll go through the SEPA process and put it out for bid at the same time. But we are waiting for the county to sign the disbursements agreements, and in here under job 21-112, just a couple down, I had the 6th, they were going to approve it, but it's actually going to be the 13th because they asked us some questions and we're moving it forward, but I guess they have to have it in essentially 2 weeks before their next meeting. So that was last week when we got them the additional information. The other item that I want to make note of is the bottom of the page, job number 22-114 is a chip seal project. We are still working with TIB to determine if we can use Franklin County or Benton County. We're kind of working through some details with TIB. We were hoping it would be resolved at this point, but just jumping through their hoops and dotting the I's, crossing the T's. So other portions, 23-101, the railroad bridge, the inspection report is on the back of my report. And basically their summary was that the bridge could handle the pedestrian walkway and they wouldn't have any problem with that. They said there is some rusting going on, but it would take decades before it becomes an issue. And at that point, they would just recommend sandblasting and painting. So we could leave it in that condition as is with the painting of the steel. And then they provided a cost estimate, which was $1,247,000. And behind that, I have our estimate, and we had 1.3 million. So we're right in where they think that cost would be. And then the other item of note is River North, the private development. They started grading, and we'll be holding a pre-construction meeting probably next week to go over all the details for utilities and streets. And that's it, unless anybody has questions on any of the projects. And we will be going through in more detail some of the projects next Monday, 6 o'clock. So, all right.
We have a question on Zoom.
Hey, how's it going? So this is, forgive me for being out of place. I had some comments to make about some Benton City residential. Whenever you guys get a chance, I was having some technical difficulties earlier, but I don't want to interrupt or interject at this time unless you guys are ready and prepared.
Sounds like a public comment.
Yeah, that sounds like a public comment. Can you do me a favor and call City Hall and leave your information tomorrow morning, and I will return your call tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I've reached out. Actually, I've been working with Jennifer on a couple of things. So I can just try to continue to work with her on that.
Yeah, or I can get in contact with you tomorrow during business hours.
Okay, yeah, that works too.
She has your info.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually involved in raising and lowering of the new city flag that's there on Veterans Day. So just kind of, for you guys, it was a Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association.
Ah.
So yeah, I don't know if you guys are aware of that. I know I work directly with the mayor on that, so I try to be involved in some of the good things with the city. I've only been here for a couple years, so.
Dan?
Excuse
Yeah.
me, excuse me a minute, Bill. Could you ask the gentleman to give his name and address?
That's correct. Yeah, that's hello. My name is Danny. My last name is QB. It's a Kilo Uniform Bravo Yankee, and my address is 201 South 2nd Street, Benton City.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan?
Yeah,
That's correct. Yes.
well, Alan, can you please clarify 1.3 million to redo the bridge to sandblast it and make it safe? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if you have the packet, the sergeant estimate just before the last page of that, it goes through a breakdown of the cost estimate.
As question with respect to that, has any consideration been given to eliminating the bridge and putting in a different walkway of some type?
We haven't, but I know the demolition cost would probably be in the same range. And then you would have to build a new bridge across the piers. So I think that would be a more expensive option to take the bridge totally down.
But we're looking basically at a walkway, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
That's
thank
correct.
you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Council?
No, thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere.
I know.
The pictures.
All right, at this time, we're going to open up the public hearing. The topic is going to be the 6-year transportation improvement plan. Mr. Rainey, you have the floor.
Okay, before you, you have the list of the 6-year transportation improvement plan. And basically what we've done is taking last year's list and removing the projects that have been funded. And so this year, we have on here the Dale extension to the east, that's east of 7th Street. We have Edith Avenue. And that would be completed with local funds. Dale Avenue, we'd be looking for application for either DOT or TIB funds, whichever is applicable and available. The Horn Drive sidewalks, that would be basically from the Archie Borden or tennis courts and continuing up. We're looking at putting them on the west side of Horn all the way up to Kybee Road at the football stadium. And that we're going to be applying for DOT safe routes to school. The next one is paved trail north of Hope. That would be local funds, and that would be working with Tap Tail Greenway would be the main player in that, and also Benton County. We have the Della Avenue sidewalks, and that would be applying for TIB funds this August. And that would be looking to run sidewalks on Della from 7th Street to 9th Street to make that connection from downtown to Bataka Estates and the park area. We've got Carroll, Cora, and Irma. This would be local funds. This would be to help complete some of these smaller streets where it's tough to get any kind of agency funding. So we'd be looking to do something like a double shot rock, kind of like a chip seal, but just on gravel. They call it a double oil shot. So we'd be looking to do that at some point, and we're going to talk with the county and see if they do that. And I know Franklin County is not opposed to an interlocal agreement. So if we can find out what the cost would be and start working towards that in the next year or two, that would be an inexpensive way to complete those roads. Chris Avenue overlay, that would be applying for TIB funds. Hope Lane overlay, we anticipate applying for funds this August to overlay where we just put in the water line. And that would just be a straight overlay that we'd be looking at no curb gutter or sidewalk there at this point. And then pedestrian bridge on SR 225. That's kind of a long-term goal, and that would be to put some kind of pedestrian crossing parallel to the bridge that's there now. I don't know if anybody's watched anybody try to walk across that bridge or a wheelchair go across there. But we've been talking with DOT and the county as a long-term project to cross the river there and kind of connect it up to Jacobs Road area. And so those are the projects that we have listed. That doesn't mean things can't be added. If they're not added now and there's some kind of funding that might be appropriate for another street, we can add it to this list at any time. It's about a 2-month process through BFCOG.
Okay. So to add to your ideas there,
Mhm.
we do need to take a look at 9th between Jane and Kitty. That road
Yes.
is starting to deteriorate pretty
Yeah.
badly. And it's starting to infill with housing.
Yeah, we've wondered about that ourselves too. So we'll add that to the list, and we could, because tonight you won't be approving the tip. It'll be in 2 weeks. So we can add that to the list of projects?
Yeah, I would be looking at it, see if we can resolve that,
Okay,
find some funding for it. I don't know if you'd just do a straight overlay on it, or if we want to try to improve it, but it's something we need to address.
right.
Okay, can Dave get closer to the mic and speak up, please?
I was just telling Alan that we needed to address 9th Street between Kitty and Jane. Take a look at that for putting on this list.
So now you probably want to open it for public comment.
It's now open for public comment. Do we have any questions or comments for Mr. Rainey? Go ahead, sir. Can you come up to the table, please? Sure.
I'll be up for later on another ordinance bill, but my name's Edward Bloom, 423rd Street, Benton City. And you mentioned Carol getting a chip seal and all that. So that's a pending action actually, because we haven't discussed anything on that yet. So I haven't seen any proposals or anything, and I've gotten one drawing from him on it, but nothing's been agreed to yet. Nobody's answered that, so I'm just trying to figure out what they were gonna do. Chip seal it or asphalt it if this all falls through to your favor or what?
At this point, we're not sure. We're just putting it on the 6-year street plan. This is a list of projects that we'd like to get completed.
Are we talking about any curving or anything like that, or it's just?
Probably not at this point.
Mhm.
And one option that I brought up is the double oil shot, which is like a chip seal.
Right,
And that would give a hard surface that would last between 5 and 7 years.
see, okay, well, that's just wanted some clarification on that.
And if
That's your plan if you guys,
possibly, but if we can find money to pave it, I think we'd like to all pave it. So
okay, so
Yeah.
I'm just curious on that end. I still want to hear what the city council's proposal is on everything too.
Any other public comment? At this time, we're going to close the public hearing. No further action needed on that. No, perfect.
Not at this time.
Okay, so we'll have a resolution for you in 2 weeks.
Perfect.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move into items of discussion. The first one is road paving assistance request and city insurance submission. Mrs. Dacia Turner.
Hi, my name is Dacia Turner. I'm at 1408 Willow Way in Benton City. My stomach has so many butterflies because I'm nervous to be talking to you tonight. This is kind of mine and my husband's last hope before we have to go a route that would not be very fun for the city or for us. We moved here in August of 2022. I was 7 months pregnant and we had a 10-month-old. And we were very excited. We were moving closer to my husband's job. 30 days in, we had our bathrooms flooded. And we learned that in April of 2021, an excavator hit our main sewer line and actually pulled it off of the city sewer line. And there was like 3 feet of sewage underneath the road. It was a long process. We had to dig up the sidewalk and almost all the way across the street. There's a lot that was said and done. There were a lot of people that I had to call, and one of those people was finding a lawyer because we don't feel that this should be our financial responsibility. I did have the opportunity to meet with Bill, and he helped me submit it to your guys' insurance. And your insurance said that we bought the problem and that we should have scoped before we moved in. I was not very happy with how she responded to me, but it was basically our last. We had come to you before we were ready to start drawing up papers to go after RD development. And unfortunately, the city, which we really do not want to do. That is not a route that we want to go. This is going to, we are a young family. And this either going legal or paying the $23,000 bill in full will wipe us out completely. So we are hoping to work with you before going the legal route. Do you I know you all received a pretty decent sized packet that
Lots of
had
pictures.
lots of pictures because it was really not cool to have your plumbers standing in 3 feet of raw sewage underneath the road. But if you have any questions or anything, I'd love to like have that discussion with you. My lawyer is basically on standby waiting for me to say like, we're suing the city. And we don't want to do that.
I don't know if it's my place to say anything at this point, but may I ask, are you also looking at litigation against the contractor or whoever was operating the excavator?
Yeah, we would be going with both. We have RD Development is who was running the excavator. So our lawyer feels that we have a case against both because there was a city official that came out and confirmed that our project there, that the repair was made. And unfortunately, the repair, not only was it a faulty repair, but there wasn't very much protocol in place to check. There was no flushing. Nobody ran a hose to see if it would actually run through. There was no scoping done at the time of the repair. So just a city official came out. He had no, I'm not trying to put this person in any, he was the person that was charged with the job, but he really had no place to be saying that it was approved. I mean, the repair that was made was like this. And as our plumber so politely described, his poop can't go sideways. So it was already clogged so far up because of that repair and then also being pulled off of the main sewer line. I know that this is like a really big ask. It's a $23,000 repair. Right now, the asphalt hasn't been poured because our lawyer has told us to stop making repairs. Our neighbors are annoyed. This has been undone for months now. And if we go to court against both, we could be looking at over a year. I mean, it's going to be financially involved for all three parties. And we're just looking to try and avoid that route. Like if there was any way the city would be able to step up and help us.
May I suggest the city council that this might be something that where the city council may want to discuss it in executive session because there are legal issues.
Yeah.
Not trying to dismiss your concerns and think everybody understands what happened. But it might be appropriate for the council to discuss this in an executive session where we can discuss things that would not be appropriate in public.
Okay. And when is your next executive session?
We have one today if the council would want to add that item to it.
I'm more than happy to add that.
Yeah, we can add it. And let's get the ball rolling and see what the back end on this is.
Before I leave, I was reading my Bible this morning and this verse jumped out to me and I thought maybe it was something you all might want to hear too. In verse 9 in chapter 3, it says, but avoid foolish controversies and genealogies and arguments and quarrels about the law, because these are unprofitable and useless. I just thought maybe it would help us all be on the same page.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item for discussion, we have iWorks. Did I say that right? Software presentation by Jenny McCombs.
Hi, Jenny McCombs, Code Enforcement, Benton City. So I actually have a software representative as well, ready to present. His name is Shad Anderson from iWorks. So if the people in the audience would like to turn around, he will be presenting that as well. This is
Hey, how's everybody doing? Can you hear me all right? You guys able to hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. So to be able to screen share. Oh, it looks like I am open now. Perfect. Hey, I appreciate your guys' time. I'm just going to take, about 7 to 10 minutes here, and I will kind of show you what me and Jenny have been working on. So I'm actually with iWork Systems. We work with a number of different municipalities all over the states. I'm the official representative for the community development side for the state of Washington. So going to give you a little bit of background into iWork, kind of what we do, how long we've been around, and then we'll just jump right into the software for a brief overview. Then I'll open it up to, a 2 to 3 minute Q&A session there if you guys have any questions for me.
Okay.
But are you guys able to see my screen here? You should see iWork in the upper left-hand corner.
Yes.
Awesome. Good deal. So current customers, we have over 2,300 customers nationwide. We have a ton of customers in Washington. I've sent references to Jennifer. So if you guys end up wanting, to reach out to some of our references, definitely let me know. I can get some more sent off as well. But for company background, we've been around since 2001. We're based out of northern Utah. We're just right up by the Idaho border. I'm only about half hour from Idaho, so we're pretty far north up here. Our market focus has always been on the community development end. So mainly looking at your planning and zoning, your permitting, inspections, and code enforcement. We were the first web-based system, and kind of what that's going to mean for you guys up there, Jenny especially, is easy access from anywhere. So basically all she needs to do is maintain that internet connection, and she can be out generating and creating all these code enforcement violations, all these cases, all of her follow-up activities, any inspections for any permitting, things like that. She can do always with that internet connection from a mobile device, a tablet, whatever she has out there in the field. It's highly configurable, basically meaning we can configure the software as well as you guys have the ability on your end to configure it to your current process. So you're not going to miss any steps, any information there that you guys are tracking. And one of the biggest key points is the unlimited users, training, and support. So, we don't charge a per seat license fee, whether it's just Jennifer and, 2 others or 15 people needed login credentials. We're not going to charge based on, the amount of login credentials. Anyone that ever needed any training or any additional support, that's free of charge for the life of the agreement. You guys can reach out to us at any point in time and you're not going to get charged for that. We typically answer within the first 3 rings and are able to get you guys squared away within, depending upon what the situation is, anywhere between 10 minutes to, within 45 minutes there. But, any questions based on iWork Systems as a whole, kind of the company background there for me?
No.
No problem. We'll hop right into the software here. So once you get logged in, this is going to be your main dashboard. You're going to see some recent iWork blogs, any new customers, and any recent release notes. We'll hop over into code enforcement. So this is going to be the main code enforcement dashboard. Everything you see here is, we're currently viewing all of our code enforcement violations in the software right now. Everything is searchable. So you guys can come in and search based on basic criteria, whether it be just the case number, a name, the address, any basic information. We can see all of our important tabs up here on top, as well as on the right-hand side. You have the ability to adjust your different preferences. So, based on different user credentials, you guys can see and change what is shown here on this main dashboard. You guys can come in and filter through by creating these quick filters here. So if you want to just look at what's been handled for code enforcement, within the last 7 days or even the last 30 days, if you want to see all of your tall grass cases, things like that. We're able to absorb your GIS information. So basically we can pull in all of your parcel information, owner address information. It's going to give you a leg up on, being proactive and being able to track all of your history of what's been handled on a parcel directly. So just to kind of give you an idea, if we come over here to the parcel address or the parcel map here, this is actually one of our municipalities that lets us use their GIS for our, demonstration site. But this would show your guys' municipality. And if Jenny's out there, driving around, being proactive, whether it be for animal control, code enforcement cases, things like that. And she's driving along this street here. And if she sees, this home has, just blight, abandoned vehicles, whatever it may be, she'd be able to drop a pin on her location and see a brief history, kind of a synopsis of what's been handled there. But she also has the ability to go in and create a case directly from the field where she has that internet connectivity, whether that be on her phone, her tablet, a computer. By creating this case, these are some of those configurable fields I had mentioned. We can configure these fields to actually kind of capture your process. So if you're tracking more, less, or even just different information entirely, we're able to configure these fields. Same with all of your ordinances, your different types of complaints, things like that. So I'm not going to go in and create a case entirely just for the sake of time. I'll just hop into a case that's been created here and kind of show you what it would look like. But just to show you the advanced searchability, I'm just going to type in just a building number per se, and it's going to pull in everything that's been handled that's associated with that building number. So we can see this 1501 Lighthouse Avenue. We'll just look at this case here. Right up top, we can see that GIS information that's been pulled in. So we see our owner address information, our tax ID and parcel information. But one of your biggest benefits from being able to track from a parcel ID directly is we can see an entire history of not only all of your code enforcement cases that have been handled and an overall status. So we can see that they've had some code enforcement cases in the past, kind of judge on whether, it's kind of a repeat offender or, something new's going on. We can see all of the permitting that's been handled at this parcel as well. So we can see they've done quite a bit of building here, as well as licenses. We can see that there is a salon associated to this property. So it gives a great benefit to be able to see kind of what's been handled already at this, address and kind of base it on what's going on there. Whether they be applying for a new permit, we can see that they have unpaid fees for, past permits. And until they take care of those, we're not going to issue any permits, or they have multiple different code enforcement cases and things like that. We can see up here on top, this is a picture that's been taken of the actual violation. So we can keep track of all of our pictures and upload those and, keep a historic file based on, what's been seen and taken care of at this property. All of the fees, we absorb your fee schedule. So any fees that you guys are taking care of and managing, as well as any payments. One of the biggest benefits is all of the follow-up activities, taking care of not only all of your code enforcement, but your animal control. These follow-up activities can get overbearing. Some may slip through the cracks. We have the ability to schedule these follow-up activities on a calendar basis to be able to keep track of those. And I'll show you that in just a moment here. But, your violations, we'll pull in your violations, your ordinances, and the verbiage word for word. So while she's out in the field, she can just come in, create that case. If she's uploaded a photo, she can go ahead and do that. She can tie the violation in just by coming in here, selecting what violation it's going to be. She can then schedule that follow-up activity for a specified date. And then, next step would be notifying that citizen or homeowner, when we're going to be following up. To be able to do that, basically all we would come in and do is add a letter. If you've taken pictures, wrong button there, I apologize. If we've taken pictures, it's going to have you select from the different pictures you've taken. If you want to take or select all of them, you're able to do so. But just by hitting add, it's going to show which letter we're pulling up there. And we can see just like that, we've generated that notice of violation. We can see that photo as basic evidence. We've got that owner information, the GIS information, that ordinance, and all of the verbiage that has been pulled in word for word. If we needed to add any corrective notes, we can go ahead and do so. But one of the biggest benefits here is we can let that citizen know, hey, we're going to come out on this date. And this is when we're going to be, checking to see if this has been taken care of. And this is kind of the evidence that we have there of what we've seen out in the field. If she has the information to send it via email while she's out in the field, she can go ahead and do so. She can print it off and hand it off, or she can save it so that when she gets back to the office, she can then print it and, mail it off as an official letterhead, basically at that point. But any questions on anything I've shown you so far?
No.
Good deal. I'm going to hop out of this and show you kind of that activity dashboard. So just to follow up on all of those activities, we can come into this activity dashboard. We can then see on a list view of everything that we've handled or that we have coming up, and we can filter through this way. You know, if we wanted to look at just the current week, we've got 2 follow-up activities, or we've got this calendar basis here. So for Jenny, you know, all of these follow-up activities can be overbearing. She basically, if she's using Outlook, Google Calendar, whatever calendar she's using, she can sync this directly to that calendar and be able to work on these directly from the field. Also, you know, if you guys have access to the software and you want to keep track of, say, you know, her sick times, or, you know, if she's going to be out of the office, things like that, she can let everybody know, like, look, just by clicking here, we can add a new event. I'm going to be out of the office on this date. So great options there as well. We can see just by clicking into one of these activities, it takes you right into where you can work on this follow-up activity while you're out in the field. You know, it gives you all of that information. If we have to upload any new photos, you know, if the violation hadn't been taken care of or it had been taken care of, things like that, we can keep track of all of those based inside the software as well. We also have the ability to create reports and generate these reports. We utilize ad hoc reporting. So she can come in and, just like for tonight's council meeting, you know, she can come in and build her own custom reports and save them so that they fall down here into her saved reports. So say we needed to run a fee report for every council meeting so that you guys have a good idea of what's been handled so far between last month's, you know, council meeting and this month's council meeting. She can come in here. I'm just going to go back a little bit, and so we have some good numbers to show you, but let me click on today's date. We can click on run, and just like that, it's going to pull in everything up here in the dark blue is what this report is pulling in on. So we can see the parcel information, the case date. We can see the owner's name, the owner's address, any fees that have been associated. We can see that it's grouped by the different types of code enforcement cases. So we've got our abandoned vehicles, our yard sales, our tall grasses, you know, and if we go over to the next page, it's going to just keep going there. And we can see the total fees and versus the total unpaid fees. So you've got a good idea of what's been handled so far fee wise. You can do just general, you know, violation reports, case reports. Again, you guys can build all of your own custom reports at that point. You can export these as, you know, a .csv for your finances, Word document, PDF, Excel spreadsheets, things like that. So another great way to keep everybody in the loop in a quick and timely manner, instead of having to generate these reports, you know, with pen and paper or Excel spreadsheets and things like that. But, you know, I know that was a quick overview of our code enforcement module, but, you know, really we have the ability, if you're not out in the field, if we're on a more reactive base, so someone's calling in with, you know, these different complaints, she can create cases from the office from scratch, just again, by creating new cases, just coming in here. We've got all of this basic information that are configurable fields to kind of show you how to add that property to pull in that information. We can come over here and all of these tabs. That's everything you can do to each individual case. You can start typing in that address. It's going to auto populate. And we've now got that GIS information, that tax ID, and it pulled in that history of what's been handled at that address there. So just to show you kind of how that would work there for you. But we've also got case templates, just another way to kind of streamline the process there. So if it's a case that, you know, is kind of something that you're dealing with on the regular, whether it be, you know, tall grass in the spring, you know, that seems to be pretty common across all states. You know, every spring people kind of forget to mow their lawns, or, you know, things get hectic. You guys can come in and create case templates, which are just going to auto populate some of this basic information that would go into that there. Let's see. Got too many tabs open here apparently. But basically what this is going to do is pull in some of those follow-up activities. You're just going to have to go in, upload that photo, you know, establish what home, the information of the citizen, and it's going to auto-populate a lot of the information that would already be there on a case that's in, you know, considering tall grass. But that's our code enforcement side. I'll hop over to the permit module for the building permits. It's going to look very similar, as you can tell. We're basically tracking different fields, different information. All of our important tabs up here on top. We can also see, we can quickly filter if we wanted to just see all of our building permits, if we wanted to see all of our zoning permits, if we wanted to just see, you know, again, what's happened in the last 7 days. We also have the ability to advance search once again, and I'll just search for another permit that we've already created there, so you guys don't got to bear through me adding in all of that information. But You can see it looks very similar to kind of that code enforcement case there. That's kind of the biggest benefit, is the user friendliness. Once you know your way through one of the modules, you can pretty well get through all of them. We can see that owner information, the GIS information has been tied to the property. We can see, again, that history of code enforcement cases, the permitting, any licenses associated. If you guys are tracking contractors based on each individual permit, as well as say their licenses when they expire, you guys can do that inside the software as well. Any fees associated, we absorb that fee schedule again. So, if we were going to calculate or add a fee, we needed to pull in a building permit for a commercial fee. It's going to automatically populate and pull these fees in based on the factors that you guys are generating those fees already today. So it's going to take that math equation out of the picture. It's going to auto populate that directly. You can track all of those payments again, the inspections for the inspector. Every different type of inspection is going to pull in different checklist items. So this is a driveway inspection. You can see different checklist items, and these are those configurable fields as well. So if you guys are tracking different information on each individual type of inspection, you guys can configure those so that you already know exactly what you're looking at when you go out there. As you can tell, when I changed it to an electrical inspection, it changed these checklist items to what you would be looking for on that electrical inspection. So we've got the circuit breaker and wire size, the GFI, if it's protected outlets and where they're appropriate, things like that. Again, if we schedule this out for, a specific date and time, we can track all of these inspections on that calendar basis so that we can keep track of everything that we're doing. No inspection is going to fall through the cracks there. Any plan reviews, we can keep track of those as well. Uploading plans to the software, draw and annotation tools, things like that. So if you ever needed to draw and annotate on those plans, you have the ability to do so. And again, to generate that permit, once all of your steps in your process have been taken care of, we can go ahead and add that letter, pick out which one we're going with there. And just like that, it's going to auto populate all of that information. And we can see that building permit just like this. We can see all of the general information, the owner contractor, who's working on it, any inspections, and kind of the overall status. Again, any notes that needed to be added in here. We can see that, we have these fees as well as any payments being made. If you guys needed to digitally sign, I apologize, I struggle with these digital signatures here. But you can also date it as well. And again, if you have that email address, you can email it directly over to that citizen or contractor. You can print it off and hand it to them, or save it so that you guys can, print it off and email it in a official letterhead once you get back to the office as well. But any questions on what I've shown you so far on the permitting side here?
No.
None.
Good deal. Sounds good. I'll hop out of this permit here and just show you that inspection dashboard.
We do have a question.
Oh, go ahead. I apologize.
Hi, I'm George, with City. 2 questions.
You might have to step up to a microphone.
Yeah, I apologize. I can barely hear you there.
You can go right over there.
I can't hear anything.
Hi, I'm George Kress, the new city planner with the city of Benton City. 2 questions. One is, the city is growing. We're going to have some annexations. How user-friendly is this for the county or the city for new property that wasn't in the city limits, but will probably come in? How do we add that new property to your system?
So that's going to be based on your GIS. Working with Jenny, we do know it's a Arc Online account. I believe it's either Arc Online or an Esri account, which are both great. We're actually Esri partners with them. So we will constantly be updating your GIS inside the software. I believe it's once every 2 weeks. So anything that's added to your GIS will automatically be updated inside the software. If you're more so wondering how it would work, how you could do that inside the software, it's not something that me and Jenny have talked about, but we do offer a planning and zoning module that can, you and I can get together if that's something you're interested in at another time. And I can kind of walk you through that if that's something, you're curious about seeing there as well.
Okay, thank you. One last question. How user-friendly for like a plumber or electrician who wants to see a building permit on a certain property, or is it user-friendly that way? Will they have access to it?
With the package that we're looking at now, no, that would have to be something that they would have to reach out to either Jenny or someone there at the office to take a look at there. We do offer an online portal. Basically, that is a link on your website that takes you to a online portal that you can either apply for any permitting that they need, as well as take a look at any history of a permit that they're looking at currently. So that isn't something that we've currently got offered up there that Jenny was, I guess, interested in at this time. We're basically looking internal right now.
Okay.
But that's something that can be added in at any point in time down the road, when there is an interest in kind of upgrading at that point.
Thank you.
No problem.
Question, if I may.
Dan.
Go ahead, Dan.
So what you're saying, we can't go back into the history on permits with your software. We can't see what's happened in the past. Is that what you're saying?
No, not necessarily. Basically, the question that was asked is if a plumber would be able to pull up a past permit or any history or updates on a permit. As of right now, with what we're kind of looking at establishing there in Benton City, there isn't going to be like an online option. That's something that you could reach out to the city directly and request.
Okay. I have two other questions. Directly from Jenny. Do you see a value in this?
I do see a value in this, and the portal for the permits as well. There was a lot of modules that they do offer that I didn't opt in for at this time because of the fact that I'm super interested in the animal control and the code enforcement tracking and being able to deal with that to help me do my job more efficiently as the city is getting bigger. And but it does have those options, and I do see value in this program.
Okay. Second question, cost. I have not heard word one about the cost of this program. And is the city going to be billed differently for different modules on this, or is there a fixed cost per month, fixed cost per inquiry? What?
There is a cost. Well, I know Shad's probably going to be more the expert on that. There is an annual cost to it. I'm opting for the code enforcement. Well, it's called code enforcement. I can integrate animal control into that same program.
Hold on, Jen. I want to hear from the people that are there. The
Perfect.
Guy.
It works.
Please.
Yeah. So the question was based on costs and how that works. Was that the question? Sorry, you just sound very distant.
No, I want to know what is the city gonna be billed per month per inquiry? What is the billing cost on this?
This is an annual basis, so it's a 3-year term, basically an annual fee.
So if they could have 100 queries or 10,000 queries, and the bill is still the same. Is that correct?
That's correct. Volume is not considered there. It's just the annual fee based on population.
And
yeah. So whether you only handled 1 permit in a year versus 10,000 permits, that fee is not going to change there.
And to make any integration request, is that an additional fee? Yes or no?
Any integration requests, I guess, explain a little bit deeper what you're meaning there.
Let's say we need a little more information than what the basic program is. If Jenny needs more information on different stuff, is there going to be additional cost to the city to add these requests such as it is in?
Nope, exactly. So that's going to fall under your unlimited users training and support. Any questions that are had, any help you need from us, you guys can reach out to us Monday through Friday. We're 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's no additional fee. So whether we needed a letter change, verbiage changed in an ordinance, which we can do on our end, but whoever has the admin access on your end can also go in and do alterations as well. So like if I hop over to code enforcement, where that's kind of been the biggest topic, violations, all of your ordinances. If you guys ever ended up adding new ordinances, you guys can come up here to your violations and you guys can add an entire new ordinance just by clicking the add violation. If you needed to, change some verbiage on ordinances that are already existing, you have the ability to do so. But we're also more than happy to help you out with that as well. So if you guys wanted to reach out to us, we typically answer within the first 3 rings. All of our accounts. So every municipality is assigned an account manager. Basically, you could reach out to your account manager and they would be able to, depending upon what it is that we're looking at changing, if it's something as simple as changing some verbiage on a letterhead or something as simple as adding in a new ordinance, that can typically be handled within, 10 to 15 minutes of giving us a call. And you would see that reflected in the software on your end.
Last question. Are you USA customer based support or are you overseas customer support?
Every time you give us a jingle, you'll reach out to someone here in Logan, Utah.
The United States? No, just kidding.
Yep, we're just right up here in Utah.
I couldn't resist. Sorry.
No worries. No, I appreciate all the questions. I definitely love answering all the questions and getting your guys's, eyes on the software. It's always a pleasure. I do, council demonstrations all the time. We just got on with Deer Park up there in Washington. We've got a lot of municipalities up there that are coming from pen and paper or other different softwares that, they've got some pain points with that, have found iWork systems as their solution of choice to help streamline their process. And, like I tell everybody that I reach out to, the references. They will tell you how much benefit there is inside the software. You guys can report on anything that you guys put into the software. So for some of those like, public requests, you guys can come in here and report on anything that's put into the software just by coming in and building a report here. So just to kind of show you what all currently in the demonstration site, you guys can come in and build all of your own customer reports. You can group them by different things. So if you want to group them under different contractors, so which contractors working on which permits, all of the information based that way, you can get as in depth or as simple as you guys want to in your reporting. There's no limitations there.
I guess my last comment would be, I hope the city council would reach out to Deer Park and see how this is working for them, because they're pretty much like we are. So thank you for information. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for your time. But that was kind of a very high level overview of what we have to offer for you guys up there. Again, we've kind of talked about a lot of modules and things that we currently haven't proposed up there, just kind of based on not only time, but cost as well. So, but that's one thing that I tell every municipality that I work with is if you want to start small and grow, the software will grow with you. Whenever you're ready to up to those different packages that offer those different benefits, like that online portal, the online portal with payment processing, that's all things that can be done at any point in time whenever you guys are ready. So, but at this time, I know we've kind of answered quite a few questions. Is there any other questions before I give it back to you guys?
None.
Sounds good. Well, Jenny, is there anything else that you wanted me to touch on before I hand it back over?
No, thank you for your time, Chad.
Absolutely. Well, guys, hey, I appreciate your guys' time. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. You guys can reach out to me at any point in time. Jenny has not only my office number, my email, but also my cell phone number. I welcome calls and text messages on that, whatever is going to be easiest for you guys. So definitely reach out with any questions.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Hey, no problem. Have a great rest of your night.
You as well.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to that and look at that. I do believe it would be very beneficial to me right now in the job to be able to perform and help more, and get the job done. So thank you for the consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. JB, you're up next with number and size of city flags.
Okay, hold the other side of that. Goes on both sides. This is the new city flag that was ordered. Eventually, this will be going down to the flagpole, I understand, underneath the US flag pole. So the mayor wanted me to talk about how many the city council wants. And so a 12 inch by 18 inch. They bundled 20 in a set at $17.49 a piece. So that's $349 for a 12 inch by 18. A 2 by 3 also bundled in 20 packs is $26.99 a piece at $539. These are packaged in 10. And there's $37.39, $300 and $37.90 for them of this size. As bigger you go up, the price goes up. But this one here is probably about $62 by itself, because they already have the print made. The big cost on this one was getting the print made. And so it's double stitched. Not to rip, I can take it around, and let you feel. So I'm not expecting an answer tonight, but thoughts as to where they're going. You know, I don't know. I was told just to present the flag. You know, I'm thinking maybe up and down Main Street on the poles. But
Could you give us a rough estimate of how many poles we have?
no, I do not have that. Venus has that. Plus, with the flag, we would also have to buy the pole
Yep.
that it sticks on, because and the bracket to
Yep.
hold it. So
Maybe getting a little bit more information and see what would work.
Yeah, let us think about that and take a look around and kind of formulate an idea where they're all gonna go. I was figuring we're gonna get maybe 3 of them and one there, one here, you know.
Right.
But I can see that there's probably a thought process to put them on the poles. That could significantly increase the costing. So let us think about it.
Sure.
I'll get back to you on it.
But that's what the flag looks like, and that's what the material is.
Thank you, JB.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
time.
JB.
Appreciate it.
Would it, I just had a thought, what if we opened it up to citizens that wanted to purchase, maybe go in a bundle or something as well? Local businesses possibly, they might want to have them on their shop, be an option too.
We'll have to think about it and discuss it at next meeting with a idea. I think I don't have a problem selling it to a business per se. I don't know that there's that many flag poles or posts around. So I mean, and we don't know hardware costs on it. So, you know, pole and all that. Those are some things we're gonna have to iron out. So hopefully that'll come back to us the next meeting and we can kind of make a little better decision on it.
Question?
Go ahead, Dan.
What is it?
Hello?
Yeah, what is it? What? I see some waves and other stuff. What is the flag?
It's a city flag with a design and grapes and valley, vines.
Yeah, with a white background.
Yeah,
I guess I'm asking what does it represent?
Benton City.
How?
It's just a city flag.
That doesn't explain how it represents the city. I'm sorry. And if you want to sell the flag to the businesses in Benton City, you're going to have to explain to them how that represents the city. I'm just saying.
Well, it represents the general area, the mountain, the river, the farmland,
Vineyards.
and the vineyards. Which is essentially what we are. It's an agricultural community.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other further discussion? On to park signage design, Margaret.
Okay, in your packets, you'll see pictures of 3 different park signs. And Linda had asked that we work on this because it was approved to get new park signs. So I collaborated with Jenny. I mean, not with Jenny, I'm sorry, with Wendy. And these are the 3 that we came up with. So we thought we would present them to council to see which ones y'all like the best. We kind of like the 3rd one the best. But we don't have I don't have any costs or anything yet because we have to decide what size we need and et cetera before we get some final costs.
Well, I like number 3 myself.
So do I.
So
I think maybe figuring out the size and how much it would cost would probably give us a fairly good idea of.
Right, but we'll need to know what size you need for each park. How big of a sign do you want? Like 2 by 3 or bigger? I don't know what size all the parks are.
I guess that's something that we'll have to look into and kind of get an idea of each park on how big of a sign we want to do.
Contacting Jose would be the.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Hey, Margaret, I think the best option for this is contacting Jose. And then that way he can tell you where in the park, what they're gonna. Without that kind of information, we really can't move forward with anything on this.
Right, absolutely. I agree. I agree with that. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
touch base with Jose.
Perfect, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other further discussion? Moving into items for approval. First item for approval is resolution 2023-10. Approval of contract with Innovative Enterprise Systems for Information Technology IT Services. Carla.
Well, Dustin gave his presentation to you guys here a couple weeks ago.
Excuse me, Carla, can you speak into the mic?
Yeah, Dustin gave his presentation a couple weeks ago, stating the cost of what it would be to get the IT up and running in the city. And I am requesting that the city approve that.
motion to approve resolution 2023-10, authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement between the city of Benton City, Washington, and Innovative Enterprise Systems for the initial purchase of network cloud software upgrades in the amount of $16,544.28, with a reoccurring monthly fee of $1,000 for information technology services for approximately 260 per month and approximately 260 per month for Microsoft licensing.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Motion carries. Next item is resolution 2023-11, agreement for promotional services between the city of Benton City and the Benton City Lions Club.
My name is Wendy Davis. I'm with the Benton City Lions Club. I am a treasurer and event coordinator. My address is 92922 North Harrington, West Richland. And I am here to ask for the money for the fireworks show for the 4th of July city celebration in the amount of $6,000.
I motion to approve resolution 2023-11 agreement for the road service between the city of Benton City and the Lions Club
And the Benton City Lions Club.
and the Benton City, it's gone on there, in the amount of $6,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Sorry.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms.
you.
Davis. Mr. Rainey, if you can return. Item number 3 for approval, resolution 2023-12, approval of right-of-way easement granted from the city of Benton City to Public Utilities District number 1 of Benton County.
This is the well house thing, right?
This is the well house.
I motion to approve resolution 2023-12, approval of the right of way granted from the city of Benton City to Public Utility District number 1.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Sorry.
Motion carries. 4th item for approval, resolution 2023-13, authorization for mayor to sign addendum number 1 to personal services agreement for on-call planning services for the city of Benton City. Welcome back.
Good evening again. George Kress, City Director of Planning. Good evening. The mayor requested an extension or amendment to the contract for another 90-day period. Basically for the planning services of Mike and Brandon to assist with finishing up the plans for the new project south of the freeway, as well as for current land use applications that'll be coming in. There is a pent up demand. I've been hearing from a lot of folks that want to submit applications once the moratorium is lifted. And Mike has been very helpful explaining the SEPA process. And I believe that another 90 days, I'll be up to speed with all the information that I need to carry on with the planning efforts here with the city. So we're looking for another 90-day extension.
Sherry?
Sherry?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Where do we have this in the budget? Anywhere?
For the 20,000 for them. I did not locate anything for them to extend the contract.
Yeah, is there anywhere we can pull it from?
We do have places we can pull it from. Can pull it from the planning.
Excuse me, Sherry, could you come to the microphone, please?
Sorry, I was busy writing.
Yeah.
We could probably pull it from planning and development.
Okay, is
Okay,
there enough in there?
there is enough in there. It's only for 20,000. Because that's where I put Jenny's if she got her software
Yeah.
to pull that from there too.
So it's either one or the other.
No, there's 40,000 there. You have 20,000 for SLC or
Yeah.
SCL. Okay, I'm sorry. And then the cost of Jenny's software would be 5,000.
Okay.
They already made a motion to pay that at one time or. before?
Extended? No.
No, but we paid it at the beginning, like the first initial. Was the expectation that we would extend it at that time? Do you remember that conversation?
No, the expectation was we were gonna have the city planner up and ready to go. I think that took a little longer than.
If I could help out also just a little bit, the original contract provided for a maximum dollar amount, and I think that's been expended already.
Yes.
And this would be an additional amount. May I also just mention to you that it would need to have a month, per hour amount in addition to the $20,000 total, but that may not all, it's up to a maximum of 20,000. So we'd need it per hour amount also.
So is this something that we can bring back?
Well, that's already in their contract, their previous contract.
Well, that was, that had different tasks. And I did not know what to put in this. It's a blank. I'll have to, if we want to just say the same as it was, we might not, that might work, might not, I don't know.
They went over in their last contract. They went over the 50,000.
They went over,
They went over
and that's why they're asking for this 20.
33,000.
They went over by that. 33, over by 33.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's an awful lot to go over.
Yeah.
So I guess I would want a little bit more information on where this 20,000 is gonna go. If we're gonna have the expectations of getting slammed with another 30,000 over.
Right.
Where do we stand, Dan, on the contract, previous contract? Can we still have contact with them?
Well, essentially that contract had a maximum and we've already
Right.
exceeded that, but.
Well, obviously they're charging us per hour based on that contract.
And I just do not know what that was. I put this together right before I left, and so
I think I would feel comfortable if we could bring this back with a little bit more information.
Well, my concern is if the city planner cannot contact them for the next 2 weeks, that puts a hamper on anything he may need answered. And I understand your concern because it's my concern as well.
As well as mine.
I think 33,000, that's a lot of money to go over.
Isn't there a way that we would get notified when we're getting close to that max?
Well, that's what they said about the first one.
Maximum, yeah.
That's our concern.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they went over until tonight, so I guess
Okay.
that's a little bit of an eye opener. Just because I thought we had a fairly good conversation with him about the 50,000 was the max.
Right.
I
And
think that's what
notification when we get close to that, whether it be a $5,000 that we're hitting $5,000 close to the limit, the max, or.
Right. I was kind of surprised by it too, because I thought we were supposed to be notified when they. And I paid I paid the last invoice and then this one came in.
I think we just need to look into this a little further. I would feel more comfortable with that.
Okay.
I agree.
Do you want a motion to table?
Yes, please.
Excuse me, would y'all like to bring it back on Monday at the workshop?
We haven't voted on that yet.
Is that something you want to do? You guys want to talk about it on Monday?
I think we can at least bring it up for discussion and get a little bit more information. Obviously, we weren't clued in on some of this information. I'd like to have more. So yeah.
I'd like to know where that $33,000 is coming from also, but we're in the budget
Yeah.
that's coming from.
So I guess the question then would be, can you provide those invoices to council members?
Sure.
Via email?
Sure.
Do you think you could have it maybe before Monday?
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
can have it to you tomorrow. I could go in and make copies and bring it to you right now.
She's out there.
Email's fine.
Okay.
I was gonna say.
So I'll make a motion to table resolution 23/2013 until the workshop for
Monday the 12th.
discussion and
Thank you.
possible approval.
Second,
Discussion? All in favor?
Sandra, I.
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, I.
Motion carries. Next item for approval. I'm assuming this is a resolution. 2023-14, City of Benton City Fee Schedule.
Do I have that one?
I have a hydrant repair.
Yeah, I have hydrant repair.
There were some things on the agenda that didn't have documents with them.
Yeah, that
And
is
there's-
at the,
There's,
with the attorney's office to review the
Ah.
resolution that was.
Okay.
there.
And I apologize to you. I was gone. I think I told you that I was gone. I just got back from,
Yeah, that's fine.
and then Sherry the two of us were gone at the same time.
Yeah.
But this could be something that we can be ready for, I believe, for the workshop as well, if you want it there.
Okay.
need a motion.
Well, there's nothing,
I don't know.
yeah,
what it
there's no
was.
documents, so.
To
I mean,
table it till,
okay.
Do-
Uh,
if it was
the
on the
workshop?
agenda, do we have to motion it for next week?
So are we
Uh,
talking about the,
If you wanted to put it on the agenda, actually, at this point, we don't have any documents. So you can just amend the agenda to delete that item.
Okay, so I'll make an emotion to, since we need to do this anyway, I'll make a motion to delete this item and include the executive session discussing legal actions as item G3. So those two things.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, I.
Motion carries. Item number 6, hydrant replacement and repair. Do we have Jose on the phone?
Don't see him.
Unless he's not. 2, 1. No.
I know the issue with one of the hydrants. I'm not sure about the second one. The one on Della definitely needs to be replaced,
I don't have an issue with.
and we do have parts on hand for that.
Okay.
All they need to do is replace it.
My question is, this appears like they're contracting for the replacement.
That's my understanding.
Is there a reason we're not handling that?
Hot tap machine. For site number 1, hot tap machine. Which I don't believe we have. And I honestly can't answer the second one. I'm not familiar with that issue. Do you guys know anything?
Is
Uh-huh.
Alan's outside.
Is he still out there?
Yeah, he was just walking around. He just might have a little bit more insight.
I think Jebediah.
I was gonna say something, just unless he was super fast.
He's out there. He didn't want to be here for number 8.
Well, we need him for this one. Sorry, Alan. We have some questions here.
Okay. Hopefully I can answer.
What do you know about the hydrants and why are we contracting that repair service?
Let's see, I know there's one, I think there was one on Babs. It's got a leak in the coupler. I don't know exactly why that, I think part of the reasoning for getting a contractor is part of the issues been having with L&I and trench safety and that sort of thing. I think that was part of the reasoning and their availability. Another one, I think it's on Della,
Mhm.
and I believe there
Della
is,
13th.
I believe there's a water service that comes directly off the hydrant line. So if they turn off the valve in the street, it turns off the service also. And I believe it's an older hydrant also.
Very old, Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were looking at replacing that and redoing that service all the way to the main line.
And that's included in the $10,000 price tag.
I believe so. I haven't seen the quote or anything or description of the work.
$9,500
Plus tax.
for labor, plus $826.50 for sales tax.
And they just have a brief description right here, on both of the hydrants. So
Okay.
we were just trying to figure out the reasoning of contracting out versus us doing it
Yeah,
in-house.
right. I can't
Okay.
speak to that 100%, but I know timing and having it, because I know when they did the last one, it took some amount of time to do it, just because, they don't do it all that often.
Well, it didn't say in here, he pointed out, hot tap machine. So maybe that's something that we don't have.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. Yeah, I know the city.
I'm
government.
pretty sure that's for the
So that's
Della.
probably what they want to do with the water service, would be
Yep.
my guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't know why they call it cold, hot tap. It should be cold tap, cold water.
Should
They're
be, should
basically
be,
tapping it
Is
under
it?
they're tapping it under pressure is what they're
a
doing.
lot of times it's called live tap.
We can
Yes.
pull this out of water. We have enough money in the water fund to cover it?
We do.
Okay. I motion to approve removal and replacement of new hydrant and repair leaking hydrant by Industrial Construction LLC in the amount of $10,326.50, which includes sales tax.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. I'll step out once again, so
Okay.
you guys can speak freely.
Now the next one is the pedestrian crossing one, right?
Yeah.
Some page.
He doesn't want to be here because they recommended him.
Oh,
Where are we at? Number 7? Next item is city park signs design.
No,
no.
And we tabled that.
we're down
We're at
to
the selection of engineering.
consult.
Trying to figure out why it was in there. Next is selection of engineer consulting firm for SRT 25 pedestrian crossing and riverfront park trail project. And this would be Carla.
And George. So we had to go through all kinds of little steps to get an engineer for the riverfront park trail and the pedestrian crossings. They had to be advertised and whatnot. We had 2 firms that presented their qualifications. So George was gracious enough to sit down with me and help me go through all of that and the criteria on it. And we are recommending that Spink Engineering be approved to handle this.
Okay, I motion to approve selection of Spink Engineering consulting firm for engineering services for design work on SR 221 pedestrian crossing or 225 pedestrian crossing and the Riverfront Park Trail projects.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Motion carries. Next item for approval, ordinance 1056, an ordinance of the city of Benton City, an ordinance of the city council of the city of Benton City, Washington, declaring public use and necessity regarding the Carroll Avenue Extension Utility and Right-of-Way project and authorizing condemnation.
So. What is your plan on this?
Could you, excuse me, could you give your name again?
Sure. It's Edward Blom, 423rd Street, Benton City.
And my name is Samantha Blom.
Well, I want to know what's the city planning here? I've already agreed to a drawing that Alan has presented to me once. You guys are stating that no one's trying to pass those out. You're stating that nobody's come to any kind of agreement, but yet I've made a proposal of even a fee for said property, but you're asking for more property than that's even feasible. You're talking about removing my buildings and fence and everything here with that property to be acquired that you're asking. The city has 25 feet north of my property, which they've never bothered to use. There's been 5 houses put in since I acquired my property, and I'm enriching every one of them by them going to my property. I've allowed everybody to travel with the trespassing agreement right now. And we originally talked about this back in August, was it last year? And the mayor said that she would come to some sort of an agreement and I wouldn't have to return to deal with this. But obviously, everything's been rejected, but nobody's come back to me and rebutted any kind of an agreement with me. Other than the fact they don't want to do anything, they just want to take my property. So I want to know what exactly, the city doesn't have, they don't have to follow their own ordinances and stuff. I mean, do you want me to recite everything to you? Is this a court of law? What do you want?
May I just?
What are the proceedings for the city council here?
May I just help out a little bit here? This is an ordinance that would authorize the city to use the eminent domain law to establish ownership of the property.
I understand that, but for what reason? Why? Why do they want it? They have property to use for this road.
I don't know that it's going to be beneficial for me to argue with Mr. Bloom. I'm just trying to.
I know what you're doing. I'm just asking, why are you doing that when you have property to do this?
Mr. Bloom, you've had a collection of conversations with not only people from our engineering, but city staff as well as.
Exactly. But nobody's come up with any answers other than taking this property from me.
Let me throw.
Nobody's reimbursed me for insurance on my land.
Let me throw this out to you just because it's maybe something that is not being appreciated from the city's perspective. The roadway that was next to your housing yard was used for many, many years. It was maintained by the city. It was graded by the city. Gravel was added to the city.
There's no proof of that, sir. There's no records. I already requested records and there's no record.
Okay. This is the reason why this is probably not the forum for the argument. This is why it's probably.
I didn't come here to argue with you. I came here to talk to the
I didn't
city.
interrupt you. Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
let's just
All right.
figure out where we are. This is a matter that has been subject of a lot of discussions. There may be differences of opinion between you and me. That's a different issue. The city council is following up with the action previously taken. You were given notice of it, and this just authorizes action to be taken to pursue condemnation of the property that has been used by the public for many, many years. And
No one's been using it but one guy that lived there longer than 10 years.
Mr. Bloom, if you had been around 20 years, you would have seen that same road.
That's been access to my property for, since 1966.
I don't.
Come on, man.
I'm not intending to argue. I don't know that it's fruitful for me to argue with you at this venue. There will be lots and lots of opportunities for
All right,
discussion.
listen, let me ask you one question. Why are you asking for 30 feet?
That is what has been used by the public.
No,
and
it
by-
hasn't, because they're not driving through my building.
Then you know, we'll.
Are you
we'll-
gonna do a surveyor? Are you gonna pin the property? Are you gonna pay me for what you wanna take? I mean, I've already offered 8 feet of it to deal with this, and Mr. Rainey here did in favor of drawing up a drawing. It was perfect. I mean, what's wrong with this drawing? Why can't you deal with that and put it in like that? I need access to my property too, man.
You know, may I suggest the council's action is to approve the ordinance authorizing condemnation.
Okay.
And during that process, we will have an opportunity to discuss the resolution with your attorney, and we will.
You're talking about voting on this now. What are you talking about? As soon as I leave here, you're gonna probably have a closed session and say, screw this guy.
Excuse me, no, that's not correct. This is an authorization to pursue eminent domain. It does not decide
All right.
eminent domain.
So why do you want 30 feet? There's only
That's what
18
has
feet
been-
available.
Okay.
There's only 18 available.
All right, guys, let's have a little bit of order here.
Why so much property?
There's, obviously, there's.
I'm
factors,
giving you-
mitigations. If we, here's the council stand on this. Just as you.
Now I
we-
get to hear councilman.
Just as you, we have the right to representation by our attorney. This isn't the court. This allows us to move forward with anything or something. And I can kind of see where this is going. And I'm being very cautious of what I say because I don't want anything being misconstrued. But unfortunately, by law, we have an ordinance that's been presented to us that we have read and we have to vote on.
Okay, so what about existing ordinances? Do you have to abide by those? Or are you gonna bypass them?
It depends on what the ordinance
Okay,
is.
it says I gotta have 10 feet for my property facing that street. So it's you want me to recite them or you want to deal with this later legally?
May I suggest, just because
I'm trying to think of a way to say this.
well, can I help you
Yeah.
out a little bit here?
I said I would give you 8.
The issues that will determine exactly what ends up happening will be done by a judge with participation by Mr. Bloom and his attorney and the city and its attorney. And that is how these things are processed. I feel uncomfortable with the expectation of argument here in this.
And
setting.
I definitely agree. Mr. Bloom, unfortunately, this is not the court.
Okay.
This is not, let me finish my statement.
Mhm.
We have to move forward with this one way or another. By us placing motions on this ordinance and moving forward, that opens up that trail. It opens up that pathway for us to move forward into the argument and into the court of law. That's the unfortunate part about the misunderstanding about this ordinance.
Okay, so I guess my final question is, there was never an intent to work out a deal whatsoever. You want it to go to court and just.
And again, I can't answer that,
Well, I'm going to suggest.
and nor will I.
Well,
And
and let me just at least make the
What happened to
council
working with me?
comfortable with this part of it. Jenny and Alan, probably more than anybody else, but also people from our office, have tried to address this issue with Mr. Bloom, and they've been unsuccessful. When they're unsuccessful, the appropriate step is to take it to court, let the courts decide. Mr. Bloom doesn't lose his arguments, the city doesn't lose its arguments, and that's really how these things are supposed to occur.
Hi there, Mayor. My name's Samantha Blum and I'm also I'm on the property as well. And I understand the whole situation here and how they are expressing that they've gone through they exercise all their options with my father. Well, that is not the case, because I did attend the meeting where this all came about. And all the whole purpose of the first conversation about this property issue with the road and everything became about because they built two houses.
Yeah, and then they didn't use the easements
they
for their
built two
utilities and they wanted to go through my property.
They built two new homes next to my dad's property, just fine. They were not hooked up to utilities. So they had to figure out how are we gonna connect these two brand new homes to utilities? So they're like, where are we gonna dig up the road?
So I brought it to the
So
city's attention.
The easement where the utilities is in our neighbor's property across from us,
Right.
which has his
Well-
fence line over the easement. They had to move it to put the utilities in, and they moved his fence back over the easement, which should not be covered. So instead of making the road where it should be in the right place, respecting my dad's property boundaries that he has the rights to, the city of Benton City would like to ignore the proposal they made back last year and just pretend that never happened. And now they're just gonna send us a paper. May I tell you that the first paper that was sent for this meeting was sent to the wrong address, and they claim that it's official notice. So my dad contacted you guys and got the correct documents.
I asked for a continuance too
Yeah,
on this matter right now.
so
It was
the thing is,
This is, so I'm,
The date never changed.
I just want you
I
to
don't- I
know that it's just,
I have no time for preparation
Right.
enough.
it's not that we
I
don't want
appreciate-
to.
let me put it this way. I appreciate the input. And whether I'm sympathetic or not. The point of the problem is we have a legal issue.
Yeah.
That needs to be dealt civilly. We are not a civil court of law here.
I understand that. I
But-
just
but-
want the
But
council
let
to
me,
know.
let me make sure I'm clear with this. If we do or do not do anything with this tonight, that door will never be open. We will constantly be right here where we are in council chambers, pretending that we're having a civil lawsuit going on.
Okay,
And that unfortunately is where we're hitting a roadblock right now.
okay. Well, I'm not trying to like
Okay,
change
well,
anything. I just want you to know that I just don't feel that it's fair that you guys want to take away from my father, but what about the person across the street? And where the road should have been originally, instead of inconveniencing my father's life and taking from him, making his property smaller, and not only inconveniencing a lot of things, like this is gonna make, if it's 30 feet, like what's the little bit of information we have, it will be that now the fence, his property is getting shrunk. There's a building on that property that's probably been there as long as the road's been used.
my well house.
You know, there's a lot of details, and those plans that were drawn up last year were really good plans. It made everything work perfectly without going through this whole process we're going through now. So I don't know how we went from that to this, but it was quiet for a long time until we got this notification to come to the council regarding this issue. So, I mean, we want to deal with this in a civil way too,
Well,
you know.
our prior visit here was said that something would happen.
And
We wouldn't be
nothing.
going to any court system or anything. I made a fair. I'm giving up 8 feet of my property. I need to maintain my 10 feet because I got a pump house. I got, it's a second side of my property facing. You guys have ordinances on all this stuff and codes on all this stuff. And it just doesn't make sense. The drawing doesn't have to be paved, just widen it. I don't care about paving it. Just widen the road so I can get in and out. And the 50 cars that park down the street can get through easier.
The ordinance authorizes eminent domain if the city takes property from you, it would be with court approval and you would be compensated for what value is determined by the court.
Okay.
That's the way.
But I'm saying,
that's way
the
it
point
works.
is you can't take 30, you can only take 8 of it. So why are we?
I'm
even
going
doing
to
this?
suggest that we're getting back again into those
Yeah,
areas that
correct.
would be decided by the court.
Okay, then. So is this a filing you're gonna initiate? You're gonna initiate the filing?
If the council approves this ordinance, that would be what would happen.
And tonight, when is this gonna be voted on?
Right now.
It's before the council now.
Okay,
I motion to approve ordinance 1056, an ordinance of
Wow.
the city of Benton City, Washington, declaring public use and necessity regarding Carroll Avenue. Extension utility and right of way and authorizing condemnation.
Second,
Discussion? None, all in favor?
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, I.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a request of the cancellation of the July 4th, 2023 city council meeting.
Motion to cancel the July 4th council meeting.
Second,
Discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, I.
Motion carries. At this time, we're going to adjourn into executive session. The one that was originally scheduled, I have no clue what it's for. So
Well, I think you had, I don't know what else it was. We suggested.
I had the two-
Item for,
I had 200 G
and one item under.
And then the sewer.
and then the sewer, but there was one already previously on the
And
agenda.
I'm gonna, I don't know what that is.
Perfect. 15, 5 and 5, that you want to just round it up to? We are going to adjourn the regularly scheduled meeting for executive session, and our return time is going to be 9:35
With a 5-minute break to.
with a 5-minute break.
And may or may not have.
May or may not have action to follow.
Right now.
Everybody back in?
Mhm.
All right, we're reconvening our normal meeting with no business to follow.
I would like to make a comment that I will not be at the workshop. I have a work obligation. Well,
Okay.
other than that, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, aye.
Alcazar, I.
Meeting adjourned.
Well, you all have a